it's
There we go. A silver
Yeah.
machine with a Dell sticker on it. I mean,
Yeah.
an Apple sticker on it. Got it. Okay, so what we're dealing with is, oh, this is the 15. Okay, so it's more reliable than the 13. Do you have the power cable?
I do, yeah. Should be full charge.
Did you say it runs temporarily and then shuts off?
Yeah, and I brought it to, or I didn't bring it anywhere, but I talked to Dell on the phone, and
Yeah.
they thought it was a battery issue, so I got a new battery, replaced it,
Right.
and it was working for like a day, and then it
Got it.
kind of went to crap again. But I did run it with the battery disconnected
Right.
and just the power cable, and it was working pretty
Got
much
it.
fine. I did that for a couple of days before I got the new battery.
Right. Let's see here. Running out of tight on space right now. I've only been here a week. I'm still deciding how I want everything set up. Let's see. Okay, let's plug it in and see. Well, that feels kind of loose. Plugging it in here. Well, it doesn't look broken.
Yeah, it still charges.
Yeah,
To turn it on, I usually have to hold it.
Oh,
the power
really?
button down.
that's weird.
Yeah. For a while, for a couple few seconds.
That's weird behavior. You shouldn't have to do that.
And then sometimes the keyboard lights come on, and then it kind of just shuts off again. And sometimes I get it to turn on.
Did you replace your own battery?
I did, yeah.
Was it kind of dirty in there? Could it be overheating from pet dander maybe?
I looked at the fans and stuff, and they didn't seem to be too dirty.
Okay, it's on now. The keyboard's lit. And let's see what happens. Oh well, did I do?
Yeah, and then it turns off again like that sometimes.
How old is it? It's probably
2019.
2019, yeah.
So-
And you didn't get an extended warranty?
I don't believe so.
Got it. It just does that, right?
To turn it on, usually I have to hold it a little bit longer till. Oh, there it
I'm
is.
holding the power cable. I'm wondering if when I let go of this.
Huh. It should be full charge. I just.
All right.
I've been charging. for a
Yeah.
while.
Let's see what happens here. Okay, so it's loading.
And the other day, I took a picture of what happened.
I know it does run. This particular machine tends to run a little hot.
Yeah, it does definitely run hot. I was just using it normally, it was working alright, and then it kind of just froze and gave me that screen.
Gee, yeah, that looks like a graphics card failure.
Okay.
Yeah. You got all sorts of weird horizontal tearing. Does it normally take this long to boot?
Typically I would say.
But as long as it runs okay?
It's a little slow when I first turn it on, and then
Do you know if you're running on an M2?
um,
The SSD that's in here?
I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Okay. I'm wondering if you're full. Let's see. That could explain your slowness. Pin, you want to type that?
Yeah.
So we could go another half hour before it actually shuts down, did you say?
Yeah, it varies.
Right.
It's, I haven't noticed a regular pattern. It's fairly sporadic.
Sounds like you have a mechanical hard drive in here. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like you got at least a couple issues. The on-off one is the most serious one,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also running slow. So the first thing
Yeah.
I'm going to check once it boots is to see if your hard drive is almost full.
Okay.
Could that be a possibility?
The hard drive, I think I have like a terabyte, 1.5 terabytes. And
Right.
I don't think I'm anywhere near that.
Okay. That's just one thing that could cause the whole machine to be slow.
Okay.
But it's been 2 minutes and we're still waiting on a boot, so.
Yeah.
Oh, did it just,
No, I think, did it go black? It should,
Yeah.
It should probably come back on. Hopefully.
yeah, alright, there, it did. Okay.
And then, yeah, it always usually takes a while when I have to boot it up.
Yeah, it should. This machine is a relatively quick machine when it's healthy. That's
Yeah,
why I
when I
noticed.
first got it, it was super fast, but.
Yeah. One of the more common failures is either a hard drive or a mechanical. A mechanical or an SSD failure.
Okay.
So that's why so yeah, you need it. You're using SolidWorks here. So
Mhm.
that's a engineering software that's going to work the machine a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that's going to make it run a little bit warmer than normal.
Yeah. No, I've noticed, like, playing games and stuff, it always runs pretty hot.
Right.
So I try to make sure the fan has good flow.
Okay, yeah, you're only 20 to 30% full. Yeah, so that's not part of your. I know drive that is bad could actually technically cause it to turn off,
Mm-hmm.
so that doesn't seem to be your problem. So just randomly, we could end up using this for a half hour or more before it actually crashes again.
Yeah, there's no real.
Right. Have you done the diagnostics that's built into the system?
I did with the Dell people.
Yeah,
I don't exactly remember what.
they didn't. Well, I mean, it probably would have been obvious, but it didn't say anything. You hit F12 when it boots, and then you go into the technical settings, and then it runs to the memory.
I think we did that, but I'm not exactly sure. What he made it seem like it was a battery issue,
Right.
and my battery was super.
Inflated or
The-
like puffy or whatever.
Not puffy, just the battery life went way down.
Right.
I
That's
don't-
normal after a few years.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's part of this or.
How often do you do your updates?
I haven't really used this computer in about 2 months.
Okay, well, let's just see if there's a firmware upgrade available. WINNER 11280. So I'm going to go to Windows Updates first, and then you can go to Dell, download their little tiny utility, and scan the website, and that'll tell us if it's missing any important updates.
Okay.
We can just do that right now. Okay, so this does actually qualify for Windows 11, but that's not what we're doing right now. Optional updates. Let's see what optional updates we have. So you do have a firmware upgrade available. Firmware is software that's built into the motherboard.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do those. That'll only take less than 5 minutes.
Good.
It's going to have us restart the machine. It looks like we got. Where'd you buy the battery?
I think I got it on Amazon.
Okay.
I'm not sure who the vendor was.
Right. I tend to go with OEM batteries whenever possible
Okay.
because you get those Chinese ones and they're not as reliable.
Okay.
You might save yourself a bunch of money. So if you have like a really old computer and for $40, if it's worth it to you, you could put a
Yeah.
$40 battery in there. But like I can tell you the retail cost of an OEM battery for this machine is like $120.
Mhm.
So that's probably what I would expect to pay.
Okay.
So if you paid closer to that $40 range, and it's probably a Chinese, came from somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're just going to restart.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a real quick, real easy. Actually, the firmware update's going to happen as we restart.
Okay.
It downloaded it, and then we're going to see, hey, all sorts of warnings about don't unplug, don't touch, don't force it off. So let's just do that. Who's this? Hi, this is Chris.
Hi, Chris. Are you at home?
I'm at the shop. What's up?
I think I have the wrong Chris.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm your computer guy. You called your computer help.
Alright.
It's all right. Bye. Wrong number. Yeah, the smaller version of this machine, the 13, is totally unreliable.
Hmm.
But this is a much more reliable machine.
Yeah, it's run fine up until like 2 months ago.
Doesn't really. You haven't decided that it happens when you're running a certain program. There, this is what I was talking about.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't really noticed. Maybe it turns off faster when I'm running a more intensive program.
Right.
Like I've tried to run SolidWorks a couple times and it's pretty much within a few minutes.
And it didn't look like you had a bunch of pendants. You said you did your own batteries, so
Yeah,
it would be pretty obvious. If it's dirty, it's dirty.
didn't seem too dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a little fluff and hair here and there,
Right.
but I was able to
Yeah.
kind of blow some of that out.
Right. Seems like what we're doing here today may or may not be a fix. You're just gonna have to see if it's a fix.
Okay.
Because the intermittent problems are always the more difficult ones to figure out.
Yeah.
Sounds like your fans are nice and good. Dell as a whole is a decent brand.
You said he just moved down to this
Yeah, like
place?
a week ago.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
How long were you at the?
5 years. I was down in the Riviera Village for 4 years. I was
Mhm.
up at Manhattan for 5 years, and now
Yeah.
here. So I'm pretty close to my original location. This is actually the biggest of the three. So
Nice.
only downside is I'm upstairs, and parking's not as commodious. Or yeah, I don't have as much parking.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is these BIOS updates, they don't necessarily tell us what they address. Random shutting down could be possibly a fix.
As of right now, to you, does it sound like more of a software thing or a hardware?
Sounds like hardware. It shouldn't shut down. You could just, I mean, theoretically, if you had a virus could do that.
Okay.
The internet, what I would usually end up having to do is let this thing sit, run YouTube or something, that's like gonna work it out for several hours, and I have to just see if it fails.
Okay.
These intermittent problems are the more difficult ones to figure out, and I
Mhm.
can't just log multiple hours of labor when I have to wait for something to happen.
Yeah.
But it's a fairly common problem. It's not like you can use it for a week or more and then it's no longer a problem, because
Yeah.
it's only been a problem for what, a month, did you say?
Probably 2.5, 3 months, I would say.
Got it.
Yeah. It happened when I was at school and I was just wrapping up the semester, so.
Right. Well, at this
I
point,
haven't really used it this summer at all.
get it to run for a few hours. Make sure you're backed up. I don't know if you're using cloud backup, like 365.
I think I have 365.
Cool.
Like OneDrive and stuff.
Yeah, if you're using OneDrive, at least your stuff is backed up there. That way, at worst, if you ended up replacing the machine, you just log into OneDrive and your stuff just falls back onto the replacement hardware.
Okay.
It makes my job a lot easier. But I tell people they should get a good 5 years out of their machine,
Yeah.
5 or 6 years.
Yeah, it definitely has not
Yeah.
done that. I think it's probably on its third year.
It's a big update.
If it was a hardware issue, would updating the firmware
Potentially, yes.
can help with that?
Yeah, so firmware is kind of like, I tell people it's the spinal cord.
Okay.
That's what connects everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there is a glitch that is involved in your exact configuration, it might be addressed.
Mhm. Okay.
That's why, unfortunately, I can't be 100% certain that any update's going to fix it. If it's going to take another hour or more for us to know if it's fixed,
Mhm.
you're just going to have to pound on it.
Okay.
Is it usually fairly warmed up by the time it does crash?
Yeah,
It's just now getting kind of warm.
I haven't really noticed. I think it varies as well.
Right,
Sometimes I'm able to watch like an hour-long show,
right.
and it doesn't crash, and I just turn it off. Or sometimes within the first 5 minutes, it crashes.
Does it actually turn all the way off, or does it just give you an error message?
No, it just goes black,
Right,
and everything shuts down. Keyboard is off and stuff like that. And then usually I can't turn it back on
that's really weird.
after it crashes. I have to wait, let it sit.
That's weird.
And I found sometimes it's more unreliable with the charger being charged or when it's plugged in.
Weird. I did notice that was kind of loose. It
Mhm.
didn't look broken, but it doesn't feel
No,
as...
usually, I mean, it's been loose, but it still charges, I think.
Right.
But I don't know if that's.
Alright, so we did a firmware update. Potentially that might fix it.
Okay.
I can't...
Is there any like diagnostic you can run?
Yeah, well, just the
same-
F12 that's built into the system.
Okay.
Probably the same one you ran.
Yeah.
Now give it a second. This is part of the firmware update.
Okay.
It's actually designed... Now it'll come back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, those firmware updates, I would expect them to come up once a year, so you have one.
Okay. So I probably haven't updated in a while.
But it looks like it was the only Windows update that was missing. That was weird.
Hmm. I did take it to at school to the tech people.
Yeah.
They did run some updates. I'm not sure if it was from
Oh, that's interesting. Was that a stock power charger?
Yeah.
Okay. Strike it. Alert AC power wattage.
I do get this sometimes.
The battery may not charge. Okay.
This happened with the old battery as well.
Got it. Okay. I'm wondering if your charger is failing.
I have 2 chargers,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure which one is. One could be failing.
Okay. The AC power adapter wattage and the type cannot be determined. The battery may not charge. The system will adjust the performance to match your power availability. I'm wondering if your charger's just bad. Okay.
It still charges though after I
Right.
boot up
There's no-
after I get that. So
Feels like it's pushing power through it because it's warm. It's 130 watt. Let me see if I have an extra Dell one laying around.
Okay.
Not that I can guarantee it fixed by swapping it out. But how you only get that error message randomly?
yeah, that's also random. It's happened a few times.
I have a Dell one, but it's a smaller one. Oh, that doesn't also charge by USB-C, does it? No, it doesn't. Oh, frustrating.
Would having a failing charger, could it contribute to it crashing when it's not connected to the charger?
I doubt it. Yeah, I still don't know with confidence what the problem might be.
Mm-hmm.
But that error message shouldn't be there. It's almost like it's not recognizing it as a proper charger.
Like not a Dell charger?
Yes.
Okay.
And your SSD, it's probably, yeah, this thing has an SSD in it. It has what's called an M2. It looks like
Okay.
it's starting to show its age because it shouldn't be this slow to boot.
Okay.
It's a real common failure, and pretty much it's 80% of the time I replace SSDs and mechanical drives all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it shouldn't take literally 3 or more minutes to get to the desktop.
Okay.
So that's what we're seeing here. It has a couple issues. You can say it's got the power issue, and then your SSD's probably starting to fail. I doubt you're failing. I doubt an SSD failing would cause it to fail. It
Yeah.
could cause a blue screen, but not necessarily cause it to totally turn off.
Okay. Is the SSD easy to replace?
Yeah, it's relatively common for me to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's where everything sits. It's where Windows sits
Mm-hmm.
and all your stuff. And in fact, I think I remember this machine taking 2, so you're gonna have 2 drives in there. And if you get a retail one, it's gonna be faster than the OEM one that the Dell hardware configuration came with.
Okay.
Yeah, it shouldn't take literally 4 more minutes on a late model machine. Is this a touchscreen?
Mm-hmm.
Pin, you wanna type it?
Yep.
Yeah, so we really can't say that firmware fixed it, although it might have.
Okay.
Because if you walk out the door and it never crashes again, if it gives you another year or more of service without issue, that might have been the fix.
Okay.
And sometimes I just have to say, screw it. In the last 2 months, what's the longest it's run before it crashed?
No more than hour and a half, maybe.
Right.
I mean, it did when I was disconnected from the battery and just using the power cable to keep it on.
Right.
It ran. It never crashed.
So what I'm thinking is if the charger is actually bad, it can't communicate fast enough. If anything happens with fluctuation with the battery, because they have to work together.
Yeah.
So like theoretically, you should be able to unplug the charger, and the battery keeps it from shutting off. And if that communication isn't fast enough, it will shut off.
Okay.
So I'm thinking we just saw that error message implying the charger might be part of the problem.
Okay.
It might be worth spending that $100 on another charger. This is the only Dell laptop you have though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this has USB. Do you know if this can charge by USB?
USB-C.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure.
It has a charge
I've never-
little icon, but I don't know if that means it'll charge that way.
I've never tried it.
I have a smaller one, which means I don't know if it'll work. That's what I was looking at over here.
Hmm.
So this one is a smaller one.
Okay, but USB-C.
It's USB-C, which is an industry standard, which means even an Apple one would be able to charge it.
Okay.
In fact, here, we'll just use the Apple one I got laying around with the bigger charger here. I'm kind of curious. Which one of these is it? There it is. Okay, so let's pull this out. And plug this in and see. Yes, so you can just use any USB-C charger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it
So,
have to be a certain voltage?
no,
or-
in fact, they're smart enough to dumb themselves down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I have USB-C lying around. I can
Yeah,
try
so
that.
if you have another friend or family or girlfriend or whatever, borrow their charger, see
Okay.
if it's more reliable.
Okay, I'll try that.
So we're using an Apple charger and it is charging.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not going to be as fast necessarily because there's firmware in that chip. There's a chip in there that says this is a Dell. I was built by Dell. That's a Dell. They communicate.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's a USB charger in the sense that you're not going to damage anything. That's an industry standard. That's why the EU just passed a law that says Apple has to now use chargers from USB.
Really?
Yeah. So now all the new phones will eventually have USB-C.
Hmm.
So you'll be able to pick up any USB charger for a laptop and be able to charge any USB enabled. So this is it. That's a standard, the old style, traditional style plug.
Mm-hmm.
This is USB-C.
Yeah.
So theoretically, if you use a USB-C, maybe it'll be a more reliable experience, only to find out that that's ultimately a failed
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
Charger.
Yeah, I can try that.
Yeah. I just noticed. So there you go. Yeah, you can see the little charge port implies that you can
Yeah.
charge.
Okay.
Because some of the USBs, like I have a USB-C enabled Lenovo, but I can't charge the machine that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
at this point, I haven't seen a crash. Well, technically we couldn't get it on, but we did do a little bit of an update. If you want, that's the other thing. Backup, you could potentially upgrade to 11 to see if that's a more reliable experience.
Okay.
But I'm thinking our charger is kind of saying a lot. Let's see if there's any other updates available here. Yeah, it is actually warning me that I'm not getting a full fast charge.
Mm.
Theoretically, a slow charge is going to give you longevity to the battery, meaning it'll last longer,
Yeah.
a long time, a longer term meaning.
Okay.
Slow charger, yeah. So the amperage is just dumbing itself down. In fact, it's dumbing itself down specifically because it doesn't know what this is, so it doesn't damage it.
Okay.
Yeah, this machine's running a bit slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, shortages playing with it for an hour, that's really probably the only way we're gonna see if it fixes it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it usually runs about this speed.
It shouldn't be this slow. I think your SSD is showing its age. That's its own problem. That's a
Okay.
separate problem. The terabyte, which is what you have in here, would be about $100 for the part.
Okay.
So just make sure your OneDrive is all signed in and backed
Yeah.
up, and that way your stuff is backed up.
Okay.
All I'm recognizing now is that it's a slow SSD.
So even though the SSD is the hard drive, right?
Yeah, so technically it's called an SSD because it's called a solid state
Solid
drive.
state, okay.
So it's multiple times faster than a mechanical drive.
Mm-hmm.
So it shouldn't be this slow. It should
Okay.
be turn the computer on and I mean, yeah, see, I restart this machine. Well, you probably remember when this machine was newer, it was faster, right?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, well then it was obvious. All we're trying to do is open a Chrome browser and it's still struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a separate issue than your power problem.
Okay.
But now that we've had it on and did an update, I haven't seen it crash. So I'm going to guess in the next few, oh, it's doing some updates too that are taking forever. That's probably not going to make it a more reliable experience. It all comes back down to that power cable. Oh, you see, I just restarted that machine. That's how fast you should be able to be up.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, other than these updates, that's pretty much all I can offer you today.
Okay.
It's not necessarily a fix. It could still crash a half hour later.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to
I'll
let me know.
start.
Yeah. It gets frustrating. That's why I don't mind working with you over my shoulder, because if you're not around when it happens, it's like, well, what's he telling me?
Yeah.
When we both get to see it behave and not behave properly,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, there's nothing really we can do.
Yeah.
It's frustrating for everyone.
I understand that.
Windows 11 is about a year old now, so if you feel like you want to go that direction, you can.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's going to be a more reliable experience, but these downloads should not take this long. Your drive is failing. I just recognize this after 20 years of doing this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a fairly, even though it's a couple of years old, it's a faster machine. Let's turn it off and just see how reliable it is to turn back on.
Okay. Is it common that drives?
Yes, it's
Show
the most
slow.
common failure. It's my
Okay.
bread and butter. I do that repair twice a day.
Really?
I mean, as far as what other, comparing it to other
Yeah.
repairs.
That's for all brands of computers?
Yes, yes, it's the most common failure, the storage. And you shouldn't have to hold that down like you said.
Hmm.
Oh,
Sometimes the keyboard comes on
that's weird.
and then it might just make a little noise and turn off. But
That's why I wanted to see it happen again. That's weird that you have no display on the screen, but you have a lit keyboard.
it did do this even when it was running normally. Like it always took me some like finesse to power it on. Then once it was on, it was fine.
Weird. It's weird. Actually think you have a mechanical drive in there, not an SSD, because I
Hmm.
can hear it rattling. I can hear its parts moving. Oh, we're still shutting down. Yeah, it shouldn't take that long.
Oh,
Okay, well now it doesn't recognize it. Well, that's just because it doesn't know this vendor.
that's like the fastest it's ever powered up. Or
Oh,
gone
really?
to the Dell screen.
That I expect because it's not a Dell branded.
Yeah. Did it just go dark?
Yeah.
Still looks like the display's on though.
Yeah, the backlight's on. Let's try it. I can hear it. And you can also have a power light. Oh, there it is. So yeah.
Hmm.
Wait a second. Yeah, I just recommend this to be the SSD failing or the hard drive failing.
Okay.
You want to type your pin?
Yep. Oh.
Oh. I don't know. You think you want to maybe replace that SSD and then go from there? Because that's all the slowness.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's backed up.
Right.
I'm not.
Yeah, just maybe. I would also recommend a USB hard drive to back up. You don't want to just
Yeah.
rely on cloud backup.
I've been thinking of just getting a hard drive.
Yeah, just get an SSD. Yeah, well, SSD, external drive or mechanical external drive. Do a backup. Manually drag over the folders you care about,
Mm-hmm.
and then you know you're confident. Because the cloud backup isn't even going to read accurately with a drive behaving like this.
Okay.
So you're going to get latency and inaccurate numbers
Okay.
unless you manually. Did it just shut off?
Um,
Is it going to come back?
I think it should come back.
Oh, it just did an update.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, so they're trying to cajole you into doing the Windows 11 update.
Mm-hmm.
How do I skip this? We already
Decline.
decline up here. There we go. Skip for now. God, they're desperate. Okay. So it came up, did a couple updates. You're just going to have to use it. What I'm recommending is get a physical external drive, back up to that manually so you know you're confidently backed up,
Okay.
and we'll go from there.
should I just order a drive online?
Yeah,
or-
so, this is gonna take an M2, so if you just go to Amazon,
Mhm.
I just ordered 2 for 2 other computers today. M2, M.2, it's about 100 gigs, $100 per terabyte.
Okay.
Oh, I thought I was in Amazon here. So if you think,
What's the meaning of M2?
I don't know what M2 stands for, but it's the later technology for SSDs.
Okay.
M2. Here we are. Because the old technology is a 2.5-inch drive. That's literally the size and shape of it. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. That is where Windows and all your stuff sits.
Hmm.
So either one of these. And they're both highly rated.
Okay. So that's the SSD that you would replace?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why
Is there
this
a-
machine is slow.
Is there a specific one you would recommend?
Well, this is
or-
fine. The $90 one is fine. It's
Okay.
you could buy a more expensive one, which is basically faster, but you're not going to take advantage of that on an older machine.
Yeah.
Don't spend a bunch of money on a. If you already know you don't need more than say 500 gigs of storage, don't get a 2 terabyte.
Okay.
But yeah, so there you go. Looks like I purchased it 10 times. There you go, that exact model. So
Okay.
yeah. So you just reinstall Windows, relog in your cloud account, and then you're good.
And then for like external hard drives to back up. that
Yeah,
also-
those are like $50. You can
That's
get those
awesome.
locally at Best Buy. Even Best Buy might even have one of these if you're in a hurry to get it going.
Okay.
So yeah, a $50 USB drive is going to be a terabyte. You plug it in, you start dragging your stuff over manually, and you're good.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is going to be hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's
It's
the
good.
slowness is
Start.
this drive needing to be replaced.
Okay.
So, and that's what you have now. You have a 1 terabyte.
Yeah.
So, do you want to back it up and bring it back, or do you want me to just do the upgrade and then I'll grab your stuff off of this machine? It's probably best that we get that USB drive and back stuff up to that just to be safe before we start playing with the drive.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll bring it back and run it and see how it is on the crashing side. and
Yeah,
then-
we need to.
and then-
Yeah,
and
because if
I'll-
it's still crashing,
yeah, I'll order the SSD
Right.
and then go
Yeah.
grab a hard drive and.
right? And if you want to go through, it's kind of time consuming. If you want to hit the F12 when it boots and go through the time of doing the diagnostic,
Okay.
it might take a couple hours.
Okay.
But if you hit the F12 on these Dells,
Yeah.
and it'll ask you to do the diagnostic if
When
you want
it's
to do it.
when it's turning on.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, and then it might take an hour. It might take 2.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. Yep. I'll try
So
that.
you have a potential hardware problem with the charger, and almost all. I'm pretty confident about that SSD failure.
Okay. I'll try using my other Dell charger. To see.
Yeah. Is it a smaller brick?
It's the exact same.
Oh, okay, cool.
Cool. Thank you.
Because if it's a smaller one, it won't be giving it enough power.
Yeah.
That's why it's dimensionally larger.
Okay.
The wattage is really what counts.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what time are you open during? the
Monday
week?
10, I'll be available. That was my next availability.
10 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay. I work.
Yeah, I would imagine most people have a Monday through Friday schedule.
Yeah.
When I got started, I didn't realize weekends would be my slower days. So. It's still shutting down. And there we are.
Do you have anything in the early evening?
Yeah, I'm available until about 6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so just give me a call before you
yeah,
head over.
I'll give you a call.
Yeah.
That should work with my availability.
Cool.
Cool. So I'll order the SSD and
Yeah.
back it up and also
Sure.
get all my files onto hard.
Sweet. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, give me a call as you head over.
I will.
And we'll be good. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Oh, do I owe you anything?
No, it's all right.
Are you
Don't worry
sure?
about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll charge you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Yeah, I feel a little weird about charging for an unknown result. That's the weird. That's the more awkward experience with dealing with people. I can't guarantee a fix. I don't want to get paid when I honestly spent 20 minutes with them, but still don't know if those updates worked. We don't know if it's a fix. So, yeah, I think he'll be back. He needs to tell me if it's still a reliable machine. I suppose there's a slight chance that that SSD failing could cause it to crash, but I don't think it would cause it to turn all the way off. Oh, and the reason I don't put the camera at these machines is because it's private information, and since I don't do any editing, I don't want to risk any private information being live. So, my name is Chris with South Bay Tech Cruise, and I'm just giving you my daily interaction with my customers. Show up live, give me a phone call if you want one. 855-434-8787. My new address is 713 South PCH, Redondo Beach.